It's the World Stamp Show 2016. We're at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City, and it's Memorial Day, a day where we remember and reflect on the sacrifices of our heroic servicemen and women who died serving our country.
The U.S. Postal Service, provides that connection from the homeland. So when you're serving overseas and you get that mail call and you get a little bit of taste from home, it reminds you of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and gives you just a little bit of escape from the reality of where you are and what you're doing at that time. So without that, I think those deployments would be that much longer and that much lonelier. So here in New York City, since 1983, they've held Fleet Week, and it's to showcase the naval services, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, and the Navy, our unique talents, and then how we bind together. The Coast Guard is the 5th Armed Force, widely misunderstood because we fall under the Department of Homeland Security, but in declared times of war, we pull under the Department of Navy. So 365 days a year, we need to understand what the Navy needs and wants, so we can make that as seamless and as fast as possible, because that's going to be during times of the largest crisis.
The Postal Service has always been a proud employer of veterans, and actually one of the largest employers of veterans in the United States. It's a proud history we have. We have a shared mission. Just recently, the Postmaster General issued special lanyards and badges to all the veterans in the Postal Service, and it was extremely well received. And the point of those is that as employees, we can thank our fellow employees who are veterans for their service.
This is the World Stamp Show, and it's Memorial Day 2016, and the United States Postal Service dedicates the Distinguished Service Cross Medals Forever stamps.
Thank you for joining us today for the dedication of the United States Postal Service Forever stamp commemorating the Service Cross Medals. I am Lillian Rodriguez, the Postmaster of the Bronx, and I will be your MC for today's event. Before we get into the ceremony, please stand for the presentation of colors by the United States Postal Inspection Service New York Division Honor Guard, followed by the national anthem performed by Percival Prince.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you for getting us off to a great start. At this time, I would like to recognize our honored guest in attendance today, Mr. Dave Williams, Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of the United States Postal Service. the members of the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee who are in the audience. And Service Cross Medals Art Director, Greg Breeding. Thank you for being here. As Postmaster in the Bronx, I am so excited to have the War Stamp Show here. As you know, we are dedicating a new stamp each day. Today's collection, honoring extraordinary heroism. The Service Cross Medals is very special. I have no doubt that collectors and non-collectors will appreciate not only the look of the stamps, but also what these stamps represent. Dedicating our Service Cross Medals commemorative stamps is Christine Seaver, Chief Information Officer and Executive Vice President for the United States Postal Service. In her role, Christine leads the Postal Service efforts to drive innovation across enterprise, analytics, business insights, and mail intelligence, as well as engineering systems, information security, and infrastructure and payment technology. In her previous position as Vice President, Area Operations, Capital Metro Area, she was responsible for overseeing operations throughout 8 districts and performance clusters encompassing 132,000 square miles, more than 63,000 employees, more than 2,700 post offices, and approximately 16 million customers. Needless to say, Kristen is a valuable asset to the Postal Service. Please welcome her to the podium.
Thank you, Lillian, for that kind introduction and for the great work you do in the Bronx as the postmaster. And thank all of you for being here to see our newest set of stamps. Before I get started, I want to encourage everyone to visit the Postal Service's booth here at the Stamp Show. That's where you can check out new products you heard about at the start of the show, including the new World Stamp Show souvenir portfolio. While you're at our booth, take the time to experience our new USPS Stamp app and the digital version of the Service Guide to U.S. Stamps, 42nd edition. These were just released on Saturday. The stamp we present today, the Honoring Extraordinary Heroism, the Service Cross Medals, continues a Postal Service tradition, an American tradition, of recognizing the acts of valor performed by soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardsmen. In 2015, the Postal Service issued Medal of Honor stamps, depicting the highest military decoration for valor in combat. These new stamps today, featuring the Army's Distinguished Service Cross, the Navy and Marine Corps Cross, the Air Force Cross, and the Coast Guard Cross, recognize the second highest decorations awarded by our military. From the Indian Wars and campaigns throughout much of the 1800s, through the conflict in Iraq, the Service Cross has been given for extraordinary heroism in 3 areas. 1, for engaging in action against an enemy of the United States. 2, for engaging in military operations involving conflict with an opposing foreign force. And 3, for serving with friendly foreign forces engaged in an armed conflict against an opposing armed force in which the United States is not a belligerent party. So what does that mean? Sometimes the heroic action may be rescuing wounded service members or drawing enemy fire to buy time for other groups to be rescued. Other times, it may mean continuing to fight despite being wounded. All times, it means going above and beyond the call of duty with high levels of performance and service. Story after story, act after act, reveals a new profile and courage, in a spirit of American greatness that has defined this nation from the very beginning. Behind every service cross is a hero. Each recipient braved enemy fire, made bold decisions, and took selfless actions to rescue or protect their fellow service members. These medals and these stamps pay homage to such heroic actions and dedication to duty. The Distinguished Service Cross was established in 1918, followed the next year by an act of Congress that established the Navy Cross. The Air Force Cross was instituted in 1960. The Coast Guard Cross was instituted in 2010 and has yet to be awarded. But as hard as it is to earn a Service Cross, it has been said that it's even harder to wear one. For many Service Cross recipients, being called a hero doesn't help shake the battlefield memories of lost comrades. So the Service Cross is a rare, iconic symbol that represents many things to many people who receive it. To the rest of us, though, the Service Cross is a source of pride and gratitude. I think we can all agree, by affixing these stamps to postcards, letters, and packages, it conveys that we as a nation will never forget the sacrifice of more than 13,000 men and women in uniform who have been awarded a Service Cross, or their brothers and sisters on the battlefield. Indeed, I believe this set of stamps says so much about sacrifice, commitment, honor, and courage, pillars of our American democracy and the American way of life. Now for the details that I know the collectors love. It gives me great pleasure to describe the look and symbolism of each of these beautiful medals. The Distinguished Service Cross is bronze. In the center, it has an eagle with its wings spread, surrounded by a wreath. The scroll below the eagle bears the inscription, "For Valor." The ribbon has Old Glory red, white, and imperial blue stripes. The Navy Cross features modified rounded arms and 4 laurel leaves with berries on each arm of the cross. The leaves with berries refer to achievement. In the center of the cross, a sailing vessel is depicted on waves, sailing to the viewer's left. The ribbon is navy blue with a center stripe of white. The blue alludes to naval service, and the white represents purity of selflessness. The Air Force Cross is bronze with an oxidized satin finish. Centered on the cross is a gold-plated American bald eagle, wings displayed against a cloud formation. This design is encircled by a laurel wreath in green enamel, edged in gold. The ribbon has a very wide center stripe of Brittany blue with narrow stripes of white and Old Glory red at the edges. The Coast Guard Cross is a 4-armed cross made of red brass with a 24-karat gold-plated matte finish. Surmounting the cross is an integral suspension ring, which takes the form of a rope with crossed oars. Between the arms of the cross are anchors. In the center of the cross is a shield with alternating red-white colored enamel. The shield is surrounded by a wreath of 26 enameled green leaves. Art director Greg Breeding designed the stamps, working with photographs of the medals by Richard Frazier. The photographs were taken on location at the Institute of Heraldry, Department of the Army. There are a total of 12 stamps on the pane shown in 2 rows. Each stamp consists of a photograph of one of the 4 medals suspended from a ribbon shown against a dark blue backdrop. These stamps are simply stunning. And now, on behalf of the United States Postal Service, I would like to invite all of our special guests to join me in paying tribute to the bravery and achievement of members of the U.S. Armed Forces by dedicating Honoring Extraordinary Heroism, the Service Cross Medals stamps.
What a great-looking stamp. We should indeed have a sense of pride each time we mail a letter with a Service Cross stamp attached. Thank you again, Christine, for an inspirational dedication. I would like to encourage everyone to spread the word about these great stamps on social media using the hashtag Service Cross stamps, all in one word. It's an honor to have our final speaker here today. As Deputy Sector Commander of the United States Coast Guard, Captain Thomas Morgan, leads more than 700 active duty personnel, 75 civilian employees, 300 reservists, and 2,000 auxiliary members with operational assets that include 7 cutters, 3 small boat stations, and 2 aids to navigation teams. His sector, New York, is in charge with ensuring the safety, security, and stewardship of the Port of New York and New Jersey, as well as the Hudson River. Captain Morgan enlisted into the Coast Guard in 1991. Prior tours include positions in Boston, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Yorktown, Virginia, and St. Petersburg, Florida. A native of Simsbury, Connecticut, Captain Morgan holds a Bachelor of Arts in Business and Economics from St. Elsem College in Manchester, New Hampshire, and a Master of Science in Instructional System Design from Florida State University. Please welcome Captain Thomas Morgan.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I almost slightly feel disrespectful just crossing in front of the newly arrived stamps. They're fantastic. Good morning, everyone. See, this is what I was afraid of. Memorial Day, your stamp show, New York City. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm honored to be here with you this morning, speak on behalf of the 5 Armed Forces of the United States of America, especially on Memorial Day, and especially on the occasion of the introduction of a stamp as magnificent as this one. Coast Guard has special fondness for the United States Postal Service. Over the years, they've been kind enough to issue several Coast Guard and Coast Guard-related stamps. In fact, just last year, the newest one was unveiled honoring the Coast Guard's 225th anniversary of service to the nation, having been founded by none other than New York City's Alexander Hamilton in August of 1790. And no, that fact does not get me any discounted tickets to the Hamilton show on Broadway. Now, if you've been out and about in the city for the past 5 days, you've no doubt seen literally thousands of young men and women in uniform from the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, and of course the Navy. Perhaps you had a chance to visit a Coast Guard cutter or a Navy ship at the Manhattan or Brooklyn cruise ship terminal or the Staten Island Homeport Pier. If so, then you've participated in Fleet Week, which has been going on in New York City since 1982. Fleet Week is an annual event to showcase the power and diversity of the nation's sea services, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, and the Navy. Coast Guard brought in 2 cutters for this event, plus we're drawing heavily from the nearly 1,000 active duty and reserve members of the Coast Guard who call the 5 boroughs in northern New Jersey home, and it's my honor and pleasure to serve alongside them at Coast Guard Sector New York. Every day in New York City is an adventure, and is no less on the waters of New York Harbor. When you're in the Coast Guard, you never are certain what will happen next, what you'll face on any given day. In fact, in just the last week, we've been involved with the safety and security of the parade of ships, visits from the Vice President to the intrepid Secretary of Homeland Security to Ellis Island. We've executed 8 search and rescue cases, investigated 3 reports of pollution, 4 violations of federal security zones, and responded to the crash of a vintage World War II-era aircraft in the Hudson. Uncertainty is a part of what makes wearing the uniform of any branch of the armed forces an exciting way of life. On occasion, that exciting way of life demands heroics, and our young men and women are invariably step up. When they do, their extraordinary service above and beyond, is recognized with awarding of a decoration. Military decorations, like I'm wearing this morning, are a visual guide to a person's career. Not all decorations are awarded for heroism. Some are earned by just doing a very good job. Some are awarded by being part of a team, and others awarded individually. But those decorations that are earned by valor are exceedingly special, and the Service Cross is just a decoration. It takes extraordinary heroism to be awarded a Service Cross, and frequently it requires the ultimate sacrifice. That type of sacrifice, that willingness to lay your life on the line for your country, is what we as a nation pause to reflect upon and to pay homage to on this Memorial Day. It's a great day for parades and celebrations and backyard barbecues with family and friends. But it's also the day that we honor those who, since the War of Independence, have done what needed to be done, and their willingness to hazard all, to pay any price, to never tire, never cease to struggle, is why we are a free and proud people, citizens of the greatest nation on this earth. But that struggle is never ending. Servicemen and women are in harm's way today at this very moment. So today, as you enjoy your day off, the stamp show, and the company of family and friends, I ask that you spare a few moments to honor those who so willingly made it possible, and to remember that we are the land of the free because we are the home of the brave. Thank you.
With us, Captain Thomas Morgan from the Coast Guard. First of all, could you tell our public, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
Well, Memorial Day, I think, is oftentimes misunderstood and confused with Veterans Day, which is to celebrate all service members. Memorial Day is very specific, and it's to celebrate specifically those folks who have lost their life in conflict.
And today, you spoke about this new stamp that's coming out. Could you, tell us a little bit more about this stamp and this?
Sure. The highest military honor you can get is a Congressional Medal of Honor. I think very widely understood award. And the second for all the services is the medal that's behind me, and the service medal. And so it's for the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, and Marine Corps have their own under the Department of Navy, and the Coast Guard medal. So it's a very highly awarded, prestigious medal.
And what type of heroics happened to receive this?
I think the word they use is extraordinary and above and beyond, but I think we can all imagine what that is. It's putting your life on the line to service others.
And what can the public do to maybe get more involved with the servicemen?
Yeah, honestly, I think the best thing you could do is just say thanks. It's hard for servicemen and women. It's hard for families. Oftentimes the families get forgotten about. They haven't chosen this life. For spouses, they get carried along, but for children of service members, they just get born into it. And the moves, the new schools, the new friends, it gets to be a heavy weight after a while. So just saying thanks and being a little bit patient and appreciative to service members and their family is pretty much all I could ask for.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
The first Distinguished Service Cross was issued in 1918 to recognize those that served in the Army. That was followed by the Navy Cross for those serving in the Marines and the Navy, then the Air Force Cross, and finally the Coast Guard Cross, which was introduced in 2010.
With us, Christine Seaver from the United States Postal Service, IT. You know, the Postal Service has a long history with, honoring the military. Could you tell us about these stamps today?
Absolutely. Today's honoring extraordinary heroism, the Service Cross medals, is our second major rendition of stamps. Last year we did the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration. This is the second highest military decoration. As you can see, we represent all the armed forces, and it's really appropriate and very heartwarming to do it during Fleet Week on Memorial Day here at the Javits Center.
And the United States Postal Service actually hires, employs many veterans. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We have a long and proud tradition of employing veterans. 4 out of every 10 employees is a veteran of the armed forces. We are very proud of their service to their country and then their continuing service to the mission of the United States Postal Service.
And just to end, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
Well, Memorial Day is such a special day to honor all those who have fallen and served our country. And working for the Postal Service, it's very special because we take seriously our mission, in providing service to every American every day.
Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
While we've got a few moments, I want to let you know that the Postal Service has some really cool new products. We're bridging the digital divide from hard copy now to ebooks that teach you all you need to know about stamp collecting.
So in 2015, the Postal Service started getting ready for the World Stamp Show by creating a renaissance for the Guide to U.S. Stamps. We created a new book. We made it a very functional format. We had brand new high-resolution imagery scanned for each one of these stamps. All of the metadata was researched and refreshed, and it became a very, very useful tool for collectors. From this book, we then moved on to creating an ebook. The ebook is available on your Kindle and on your on iBooks, and it offers really beautiful high-resolution imagery of the stamps. You double-click on the stamp, and it comes up full screen, and it includes all the original metadata, all of the content that's in the original book, but it's portable, and you can put it in your purse or your pocket. We then moved on to creating an app, and this is really wonderful interactive tool for collectors. It allows you to browse the U.S. Stamp Archive by various different factors. We'll go to series. You select a series. The stamps all come up from that series. Select a stamp, and you get all of the information about the stamp, its current values, all of the production specifications that are important to collectors. Tap on the stamp and it comes up full screen. You're also able to manage your own stamp collection. This is my stamp collection. And in addition to having all of the original information we discussed, it also has an area for user-generated content. What's important to users, the condition of the stamp, the price they paid when they purchased it, etc. You also have a wish list, and you can add stamps to your wish list. This is my wish list. And once you acquire the stamp, you can add it to your permanent collection.
The last couple of days we had, 183? So yeah.
You can evaluate your stamp collection.
It's not too hard. It's just, exactly, and it's all...
Excuse me. And it's just a great tool for collectors. Thank you.
I'm Kristal Hart reporting from the World Stamp Show at the Javits Center here in New York City. Thanks for watching and hope you've enjoyed the show.